she said, "I got you." And that's what it
Yes,
was.
sir.
She said,
Yes,
"I
sir.
got you." And not in a, like, I had to put in the work. I had to put in the work. I had to work. I had to prove myself. But she said that and she meant it. Um, and that literally changed my life.
This podcast is intended solely for educational and discussion purposes. The content shared within this program is not meant to embarrass, criticize, or humiliate any official, coach, team, conference, or fan. Our goal is to educate, inform, and promote a deeper understanding of the art and the profession of officiating, providing insight that benefits all who love and support the game.
Well, welcome everyone. And this is going to be an awesome segment. Man, I have 5 of my new hires, and we're going to just have a quick, well, I shouldn't say quick. We're going to have a fun little session, and I want them, they're going to kind of share their experiences in different ways of how they got started and how they, got to Division 1, how they got to VP 12. We're all over the place here, but I am so proud of them. They've accomplished something that I know for each of you is very, very valuable to you. You've worked hard to get here. So we're just going to start it off. Looking at Dara and Erica, you two are the first on my screen. I want to give you guys this one. And looking at your path to how you started and how you got interested in officiating, it's funny. And with the two of you, Dara, I remember for you when you were the scorekeeper at Say No Classic. How about this? This goes way back when I first started doing camps. I was still an official myself at that time. Oh, and then I look at you, Erica. Your little story, your journey coming on this side, from living in Texas is a little unique, which I think is great too. The opportunities that you receive. So, Dara, we'll start with you. What was the spark that got you?
The spark that got me, it was a lot. So I did watch your camp for years, and I had to be 14, 15 watching camp. And it would be her and Benny at USC. And I watched everybody that's a tournament official, I watched them coming up.
Uh-huh.
So I would sit there at the table talking trash. Somebody was too quiet or I couldn't see their signals. I'd run and tell like VP and Benny. So I'd
She
already
wanted
be,
telltale.
I was snitching, but I just really could appreciate, they were doing a lot of hard work. But in the beginning, when it was proposed to me, I was like, nah, my attitude isn't ready for this yet. My maturity level isn't there. And so it took me a minute, and then once I started, I reached out to VP like, hey, guess what? I'm about to start rapping, and just wanted some advice and stuff like that. And then I just started my journey from there. And once I really got into officiating and really understood, I just fell in love with it. And it's just, to me, it's like a beautiful chaos. It's just so much going on, but it's just amazing, to me. And I love still being a part of the game. So I definitely can appreciate everybody's journey, me watching their journey and now being a part of my own journey. It's amazing. It's just a great feeling. Like it's a great feeling.
Well, you know what? How about this? One thing I can appreciate about you, and you're right. I never forget you were a little feisty little thing at that table,
I
and
was
I
trying
used
to
to
fight
tease
everybody.
you and mess with you because that's just who I am. I love basketball people. But one thing I learned very, very quickly was that you were a basketball person. You understood the game. You were an amazing. You could score, you could do the time, the book, subs. You could do all that by yourself. You didn't even need no help,
Right.
which was amazing to me. But, I just, you were young and you always had that beautiful smile. So I thought, what, let me ask her to see if I can get her to bite. And for a long time, you didn't bite. And then finally, and here's where I give you your credit that you did very well because you started but you never said nothing to me. You started, doing doing high school, doing what you were doing. You waited until you realized that you were really serious about it, when you realized that you got bit by that bug, then you said, "Hey, VP, you know what? I'm officiating now." I said, "Well, really?" She actually told me. She told me, team, she said, "You will see me at camp." I said,
Mm.
I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't, I still didn't see her for a couple of years. It didn't really matter to me. But one thing I could appreciate that when you came, you were ready. And I commend you for that. And that was something, and it showed me that you had kind of you grown up on me, because
Yeah.
you're right. You were a young little kid, and I knew that. And I knew
Mhm.
at the time I was talking to you that you wasn't ready. But going forward, it was so nice to hear, and it was such a pleasure to see you. I was so excited once you put the uniform on and you were ready to go. So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Now, Miss Erica White, you got a whole nother path. So let's talk about yours. What you got for us?
Well, I think in order to tell you about my officiating path, I have to go back to the beginning of my basketball path.
Please do.
And so you just said it, there is a basketball person. I have been wildly and passionately in love with basketball since I was 3 years old
Mm,
and have been playing since I was 10. And so I
okay.
was the kid that went everywhere with the basketball. I was the kid that played on the state championship team in high school and the All American, played in college. So I've just been in love with this thing for a very long time. And I've also been a goal setter my whole life. And then I've been able to make these things happen. And so when I became interested in officiating, at the time I was a college coach at SMU here in Dallas. And coaching, God bless them all, but
Hmm.
it's not for everyone. It's not for everybody.
I
And so it
found out
wasn't for
myself.
me.
Right.
It wasn't for me. And so I'm sitting on the sideline during one of our games, and I'm looking at a very high level official that's about my size and stature, and she's getting up and down the court doing her thing. And I'm looking and I'm like, I think I can do that.
Mm.
And from there, I just had the idea and just wholeheartedly pursued it from that moment and just haven't looked back.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna throw one other person in here. How about Dominique? How about let's talk about what sparked you? What was your interest? What made you say, I want to do this? Where did it start for you?
Well, for me, I have a similar path to Erica,
Mhm.
but in terms of officiating, I would have to say that I feel intensely that it chose me. You go through adversities in life and you go through different valleys and different roads in life. Everyone has a different road, different valley, different past. I was at a place in my life, I just had my daughter
Mm.
and I was trying to find me. Once I tried it, it gave me my voice back. It gave me my strength back. It gave me my power. And so for me, refereeing is something that's extremely like spiritual. Also how I was raised, like just our elders and paying homage to who came before us. So it's a very deep thing for me. Um, and so then once I started it, just literally, I've told you this before, I just wanted to be you. Everyone told me about you, you. From Danny Crawford to JT Ord to Sheree Mitchell to
Wow.
Rodney Mott, people that they are my mentors. Every single one of them,
Mhm.
how they describe you is that's a good woman. And so for me, I just want to be that. And so that's my beginning. That's my start.
Okay. All right. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? It's funny that you say that because, I guess I should be proud and which I am personally for an official to say, I want to be like you. And that's really a huge compliment. That actually to me tells me that, and I must be doing something right. I must be the aura that I'm giving off is good. And that makes me
Mhm.
feel good because if I can motivate any one of you any type of way, that's what I want to do. I'm one thing people officials know about Violet is if you're within my circle, if you're within VP 12, I got you 100% with anything. I don't care what it is. And, I really, really appreciate all of you saying what you said because it means a lot to me in who I am and what I represent, you know. I'm looking at my two gentlemen down here, and one thing I love, Gary, I've known you for a lot of years. And you're kind of unique in this. You've gone through basics with me, but you're already a big timer. You're just on one side of officiating with football, and on this side, I think you found another niche. So talk a little bit about your journey.
Wow. Someone said it earlier. It's an absolute love affair. When you're a little kid, you cry for something you can't have. Couldn't play ball when I was young. I was too young to play tackle football, and so I cried.
Mm,
And from that point on, it's been an absolute love affair. I started officiating football in 2002, and one of my mentors in town asked me to do basketball, and that was all she wrote. I actually saw you for the first time in Las Vegas at a new school called Sunrise High School around 2012, 2014. You were there, and there was a bunch of tryouts to try to get on your staff. And a few years later is when I actually attended my first basics, 2017. But I was a parent who stepped away for 7 years of basketball and let my kids play. And then when they stopped playing in 17, I joined the basketball ranks again. I was a scorekeeper at UNLV, the instant replay tech at UNLV for 7 years. I didn't want to lose
wow.
touch of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Go red.
Yep. And so as a replay tech, I would see the best of the world come in there, the Penny Davises, the Nashes, the Melissas, the Brendas, all the people that are working at a high level now would come through UNLV
hmm
and work. And I would always just take plays and give the iPads. You know how it was, the flash drives and all that. But always wanting to one day work on the floor myself. And when I attended your camp, I remember like yesterday, David Coleman, football coordinator, told me to call you
Wow.
blindly to go to basics because day of the game, Rich Colin had to give everybody their money back because he couldn't have camp because of a knee surgery. And I had no camp to go to. So in 2007, I signed up. I called you first. He said, "Hey, Blue, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh, boy." And you told me, "Okay, you got homework to do this, do that, and then we'll get you going." And so when I walked in the room, I remember it just like yesterday. I sat next to Blanca Burns. No business being in that room.
Uh-huh.
No business. I was a high school official only sitting next to folks that are ready to be referees on your staff.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, to speed it all up, uh, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think I missed 1 year in 2021.
Uh-huh.
And I've been with you ever since as a basic camper. And then this last year in Las Vegas,
There you go. That's it.
man, you called Chelsea. He's like, "Hey, Chelsea, I need a black ref swagger shirt." He's like, "I'm with Gary Reed right now." She's like, "All right, give Gary Reed the shirt and have him come down." And I brought you that black shirt, and you said what you said, and I about cried.
And that was set up. You
So
didn't know
that's a short
that
version
was
of a
a
long
setup,
story.
Gary. But that's what we do. And literally, it was so funny. And we're going back to the shirt story because when he came over to me, is when I told him, I said, "Hey, man, I just want you to know, you're in." He he almost passed out on me. I said, "No, no, don't pass out on me because you still got to go work. You can't do that." But I just wanted, I just wanted him to know that you have done the work. And here's what I think viewers need to know, Gary, and we'll get into it a little more a little more in the
Hmm.
segment.
Yep.
This man came to camp every single year. He never complained. He never ever said, "Violet, when are you going to hire me? When am I going to have my opportunity? Am I close?" That favorite line that I cannot stand, "What do I need to do to get better?" Or "What do I need to do to get" ah, no. He didn't say any of those things. He signed up, he came prepared, he did his work, and let the chips fall where they may. And I really commend you for that. Just so you know, I never even said it to you, but I'm gonna say it publicly so everybody can hear it. Because it matters.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Rory. All right, so Rory, how about this? You're a little different than everybody here with this group because you know, the only and I can't even say it's not a negative because there's nothing negative when it comes to what we do other than people always yelling at us and trying to talk bad about us. I think that's probably the only negative, but there's no negative when it comes to us within each other, is that I didn't know you. I think our paths had kind of crossed, but I don't think I've ever watched you work, and I inherited, not, no, I didn't inherit it. I actually interviewed and end up becoming, the coordinator officials for the Mountain West. And I'm honest. That's one thing. If I try my best to make sure I tell officials the truth, if I don't have nothing else,
Yep.
that's one thing I have, the
Yep.
truth.
Yep.
So when it came time for me to put the Mountain West staff into VP 12, I was honest. Roy called me. I had camp that summer, and some of the Mountain West people were there, Roy. Some of them, not a lot though, which I was very, very surprised. And I would say this to viewers, a nugget. If you're an official and you're on a particular staff and the changeover occurs where a new coordinator comes in, how about this? I would be the first person to sign up for that coordinator's camp. I don't care where it is. I don't care when it is. I want that coordinator to know that I want to stay on staff. I want to be on staff and I deserve to be here.
I'm all in.
Just,
That's right.
just a nugget for our viewers who, because this may be an experience that they have with another assigner. Who knows? So I just gave you a little nugget, but I give Rory credit because him and I had a conversation. And all I said to him is that I'm not saying that you're not qualified. I'm not saying that you're not a good official. All I'm saying is that I have never seen you referee before. So personally, I don't hire people that I've never visually seen. And I have to see you. And you know what he said to me? He didn't get discouraged. And I don't know, Roy, you want to tell what you said to me or you want me to tell it?
Just remember, and kind of back to what you were talking with Gary, is we can only control what we can control. And that's
Bingo.
all I wanted from VP was, what can I control here? And she was like, you got to come to camp. You have to come to camp and put yourself out there and do it. And in that moment, I was like, I'm not giving up on this. I used it kind of to motivate myself for that year, and came back to basics the next year, ready to roll, man, for sure. So it was a great conversation.
You know what?
Second most
Go
fun
ahead.
conversation I ever have after the one that you called me this fall. So
Beautiful. But and here's what I can say that for the viewers and for referees out there, one thing that I already knew that what I liked about you was you might have been discouraged. I'm not even, because I would be discouraged if I was on a staff and then the coordinator didn't bring me back. But you know what? You didn't allow that to put you in a hole, because what you said to me was actually that. You said, okay, you said, I can understand that and I can respect that. And because all I said, Roy, I haven't seen you referee. I don't know. And all he said to me was, you will see me next summer and I will be ready to come. In so many words, it was like, I'm coming to get my spot back. And I said, I look forward to it. And I just want to say kudos to you because you did exactly that. I didn't give you a playbook. I didn't say anything. I never said that you wasn't qualified to be on the Mountain West staff. It wasn't any of those things. It was just visually, I can't hire and give someone a contract that I've never seen before. But you took that and you didn't allow that to put you in a hole. You said, okay. And when you came back, you were excited, you were ready, you came out as a Division I referee should. And that's the way you should come to camp. That's the way you should approach it for every single summer, whether you're on staff or you're not on staff. So, looking at all of you, what was the value that you received, with attending basics? And Dara, I can give you this one. I'll say Dara first, and then I'll say Gary, because I know the two of you have attended more than once.
Mhm.
What value did basics do for you?
You want to go first, Gary?
Gary, you want to go first? Or?
Sure, I'll go. Actually, no, ladies first. Always go, Doug.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
The value that I saw in it, but first, I'm going to tell you this. VP gave me some socks at Say No when she was still working in the NBA. And I was
Nice.
like, yo, VP, can I get some socks? So when I kept them socks. When I tell you I kept them. So when I started to ref, I was like, I can't walk in her shoes because I don't have her shoes, but I for sure got some socks. So I'm gonna start refing in these socks. And maybe I can learn some things. I can get a little bit of VP magic when I start refing. When I tell you those socks is so stretched out and burnt out, it's crazy. But
Well, I
that
have
was the
another
magic
pair
that
for
I
you.
got.
I have plenty. Trust me. You're more than welcome for another pair, sweetie pie. I only have one request with those socks. You cannot wear those socks at one of your college games. You can wear them out when you're doing, fun stuff in the summer. We don't mix the two. That's one thing I've never done, because I think it's unfair. I think it's, and I only say it, and I'm saying it to you guys, and I did I meant that in a fun way, but
Yeah.
you never ever want to coming to college and now have your pro stuff, because now it looks like people can get offended by that. And that's why I said, for you, I would love, you want another pair of socks? You're more than welcome to them. Um, just know that don't let the logos show when you're working with
No,
any collegiate.
they're white.
You
They're
know what I
white
mean?
though, so they're
You can
white.
wear them because
So
they good luck. Hey,
for
but
sure.
I like
Oh, for
that. I
sure.
like
Well, the value that I saw, it's more than basketball.
that.
Because what I saw in value was someone that pours into you and wants you to be first a great human being. Let's just start there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that to me is more valuable than any of the constructive feedback that you get when you're at camp. It's, are you a good person? And they value you past the court. And to me, that's just a huge thing. You want to be around people that care about you past just the court. Having a boss that has your back for stuff that has nothing to pertain to basketball, but just you as a person. And then hearing the people that have, had just personal things and your boss has your back and genuinely cares about you. That to me is the value of every time I came to camp. It was a family setting. People were happy and people were just happy to be together. So yes, you get value in, your play calling and where you're supposed to look and where you're supposed to be. Like, you're going to get that. That's a given, right? Because also your clinicians are top tier people. So you're going to get that. But not very many places give you just genuine, authentic love
Wow.
and just to care about you as a human being and what I may deal with or what adversities I face off the court. Like, hey, let's work through this and let's get you back where we want you to be or where you need to be.
I
That to me is
love
the
it.
value. And that's where
Wow.
I got value.
That was beautiful. Gary, you want to add to it?
Absolutely. So let me say this, because I've been on the camp scene for a very long time. 2003 is my first camp in both football and basketball. I also run a camp of my own that's going to be in its 20th year
Mm-hmm.
for football. This past season, I went and saw the big four. I saw Violet, I saw Patty, I saw Lisa, I saw Debbie, and then I saw Penny. So I guess you could say the big five, because I believe in camp. I always wanted to go to Penny's camp, and I never could because football and the 4th of July is a clash. But after retiring from my real job last year, I was able to attend Penny's camp for the first time ever. And what I'll tell you about basics is the secret sauce and the teamwork between Chauncey and Violet is unbelievable. From making you from making you uncomfortable with the sing along and or the dress ups to getting you out of your comfort zone just to be you. And I remember when I first saw Violet speak to the group, she said, "Learn how to officiate in cars and bars." And I, and when she said it, it just resonated with me. And to this day, as now being on staff, it's still I learn more from the car rides and having the after game refreshments than I've ever learned at any camp that I've been to in the 20 plus years. So what I'll say the value is, you sign up, you're gonna get treated like a first class customer. The people are always welcoming. They're gonna meet you where you are, right? Some people will never reach a referee for Violet. Some people will always be a U1 or U2, but her staff is gonna meet you where you are and help you in that progression.
Wow.
And if that's not the best way to spend your money, I don't know what is. So that's my feedback on the value of basics referee.
Oh, wow, the two of you, you hit it on the head, and again, I could actually throw this to you too, Erica, because you've been, I don't know how many times you've been to basics. At least, is it 3 or 2?
I want to say twice.
Twice. Okay. See, I figured as much. So what would you have anything else to add to that? Because literally yours is a little unique too, because you came and then this past summer you couldn't come because you were dealing with an injury, which was still
Hmm.
okay. Didn't bother. I understand because stuff happens in our careers in the summertime, and you were thinking to yourself, "Oh, you know what? Okay, I didn't get a chance to go this summer. I'll go next summer," because that's what you said to me
Hmm.
when I called you.
Hmm.
So give us a little bit of the value basics has been for you.
Think, I'm going to piggyback on what Dara said, and Gary as well. Since deciding to become a Division One official, I've gone to a lot of camps. Once I landed at basics, or once I came to your camp, you mentioned earlier your aura and your energy. So it really started with you. Like when I met you, I was like, okay, she cool. She cool.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
her. I really, really like her. And then, like Dara said, okay, so then you go and you get on the court and you go to work, and your clinicians, everybody's happy. And everybody's like really loving on each other while they're sitting over there doing their thing. And then when they come to speak to you, you can tell it's genuine. They're telling you things that they learned while they were in battle.
Mhm.
And then you forced us to work together and have this big old party,
Didn't
and it
force
was
a
a
little bit.
ball. Well, no, but I mean, you put us in a position to contact each other prior to
Mhm.
camp and to coordinate what we were going to do and how we were going to work together. And I think we had to do that. And it was fun. It was positive. It was loving. It was just good. Everything about it was good. And I left and didn't get hired, right? But I still was like, that was great. I'm going back. I don't care. Like, I just enjoyed it that much. And so, yes, the classroom was grueling and Benny was tough. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I have
Mhm.
to really get in my books and get better and all that stuff. But it was just the love and the energy and the vibe of it. I knew that it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I didn't care how long it took me to get in the club, but I just knew I was going to do whatever I needed to do to get in.
Love it.
facts,
That is
big facts.
those, you know what? You guys gave some great nuggets for, officials, and it's always good. And each one of you articulated what was happening in your life at that point in time and why you decided to say I'm attending, what I'm going to get out of it. And I think the key component from the three of you is that this is like family. And I really sincerely
Yeah,
feel that way. It's that when
no
you
question.
come, we want you to know that you're important and that your career is important and your path is important and where you want to go. I tend to walk up to, I'll walk up to any official and say, okay, what do you want? What are you trying to accomplish here? Where are you trying to get to? Because again, it's about you guys. I am here just to try my best to give each one of you what you need to get wherever it is you're trying to get to. And, I have some officials I go to and they say, you know what, Violet, I wanted to come here because I heard I can get some good instruction. I'm a high school official and I love being a high school official. I say, well, I love having you because,
Right.
I just had a segment with Dana Pappas, the National Federation Director of Officiating, and I told her, I said, I literally, for an official that comes and says, hey, you know what? Not everybody can work college. I am happy to be where I'm at. I am happy to teach you, to help you to grow and wherever it is you're trying to get to, which is so positive as far as everybody's coming from different levels, different areas. And it doesn't matter because we're all just referees and we're all trying to get better. And now, okay, so I'm looking at the bottom of my screen and I got Rory and Dominique for the two of you. I'm looking at your paths were a little different. You know, Rory, you were already a Division One. You know, you were in Division One for how many years have you been in Division One, Rory?
I got hired in 2021.
Okay. So see, you have quite a few years
Forces.
under your belt. You know, you're not like a newbie. You know, yeah, you
Well,
can say you
yeah,
new to my staff, but you're not like some fresh off the block new referee.
I will be honest with you. I was only getting a few games a year though, so it wasn't. I really was like just dipping my toe in that world, right?
Yeah.
So just to be honest.
Well, see, now, how about this? You dip more than your toe. You got your foot in it now, right?
I'm drowning. I'm trying to
See,
surf my way
that's
out.
even more beautiful because, again, you know, and just for me and viewers probably, you know, I probably get these questions a lot. And it's nice just to have you guys here where I can bounce it off of because, you know, I'll be honest and I'll tell a referee, I go, it's not that you're not talented enough to get to Division One or you're not talented enough to join VP 12. That's not the case. Every now and then we may have some officials where I'm like, you know what, you just need to work a little harder because you're not ready yet. But that's kind of rare, you know, in most cases. But the one of the core things is that you must continue to develop at whatever level you're at. I don't care what the
Yes.
path is. I don't care where you are. If you must remain a student of the game. This game is
Facts.
too good. It's too fast. These players are too talented. And if you don't do that, you'll get swallowed up. And
Right.
you'll wonder why people and things are passing you by, you know? And, you know, looking at you, Dominique, I could say that, you know, it's funny. You grew up right here. You're around LA area. You know, you
Yeah.
started high school, but your path was a little different, you know, as far as what you wanted to do, which was still fine, you know, because I had a lot of experience on that side too.
Yeah.
But it was funny, and I saw Dominique at in Vegas, and you know what is actually the name of the program you were in, Dominique?
It's called RDP, Referee Development Program.
RDP, RDP.
RDP.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay. Dominique was in Vegas and they had court 22, I think is the name of the court that you guys were, or court 20. One of them, it was in the 20s, 20, 21, 22, 23, one of them. And you guys would have two games a day within our basic, you know, the courts that basic ref school had at the Nike tournament. And the first day, obviously, we didn't have that court. We were all the other courts. And so I just, you know, when referees come in, I just want to see. You know, of course, obviously, you had a couple of my mentors on your court. You know, I got a chance to see some of my old school guys that I used to work with. So of course I was going to hang around and watch. So I watched and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, you know what? Those ladies, it was six ladies. They did a nice job. I was like, all right, good to see, you know. After that, I watched a few, and then I'm like, okay, time for me to go see my people. I was out. So afterwards, Dominique comes up. She says, "Hey, Violet." She introduced herself. You know, "Could I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." You know, she says, "Not right now, but like later. Can you give me like a little time?" I said, "You're more than welcome." Sure. So, so Dominique, well, you don't have to give all the, you know, the nuts and bolts, but afterwards, you and I had a little meeting and you kind of told me where your transition was going
Yeah.
and if I could help. And what did I say to you?
Literally, Violet said, I got you.
That's right.
Talking about like defining moments in your life. Like Violet just teed it up. I was in New York and as I spoke about earlier, I have a daughter and I left here and um my daughter stayed here and we would see each other about once a month. And throughout this transition, as Violet spoke of, there was no transition. And so my time was up and I was coming back home, but I had nothing to come back to. I didn't have my job anymore. And so I literally poured my guts to Violet, but not because that's something that I do, but because I knew Violet before I knew Violet, because of her mentors who are my mentors, because of all the things I was taught about her. And like I said, and she's the first. And so
Yeah.
all of us women on this call, like clearly she's the first and she's the first that looks like us.
That's right.
And so, like I said, I knew her before she knew I knew her. And I felt a part of her family already. She said, I got you. And that's what it
Yes,
was.
sir.
She said,
Yes,
I
sir.
got you. And not in a, like I had to put in the work. I had to put in the work. I had to work. I had to prove myself. But she said that and she meant it. And that literally changed my life. Uh, to come back and not, I literally would be with my parents, living with my parents if it wasn't for this opportunity. I am beyond grateful. Yeah, it's beyond words. Like I've never experienced anything like this. I know that we're all pretty young, but this is like to have a literally a life altering moment. That's what it was for me and my child and my family. So
You go.
But how about
yeah.
this? This is what I said to Dominique. You know, me and I, you guys, and I know y'all think, I know I'm a little weird, not weird in a way, but when it comes to appreciating and it comes to people, I don't forget much. This is it's so
Mm-mm.
crazy to me, and I don't even know how Benny. We are weird because I can store so many things, and then when I'm with the people, it just comes out. I can remember what the conversation was. I can remember what we talked about. I can remember everything. And here's what Dominique, she's dead on. You know, she poured herself out. I gave her a big hug. I told her, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Some things are going to change, but not really, you know. And I asked her, I said, because I was kind of thinking in my head, you know, what can I do to help this young lady? Because I just felt like something's not fair, you know, something in my
Yeah.
heart. And now, mind you, I'd already watched her referee. So I knew she could referee. That wasn't what was in question. There was no, because I can watch for like 15 minutes and I can tell you whether or not you got it, whether you don't. I know, you know, if you're really out there doing what you're supposed to do, which obviously she was. And I said to her, I said, July um, 19th through the 21st, what you doing? She said, nothing. I said, you available to go to Chicago? She said, yes. She said, can you let me check one date, the 19th? Because I'm supposed to be, I think you were still supposed to be in New York during that time. And you had to check to see if you could leave. Because, you know, but the other dates were not a problem. Now, what Dominique didn't know was that even if she couldn't have made it on the 19th, I would have told her, just come on the 20th. We'll figure it out. But I didn't even have to do that because I think later on that afternoon, she came over and she said, I'm in.
I mean,
And I said, okay, I will be sending you some information, some paperwork. You're going to come to my staff training because I would like for you to meet my staff. I would like for you to get to know them. I want you to interact because see, for me, I need to see how you know, what you gonna bring. Are you gonna change on me? You gonna be who you are? You gonna be able to, you know, because you guys all know how we are at camp. We're together. You know, I'm expecting for you to come out of your comfort zone. I'm expecting for you to just be you. Just don't change who you are. Be because individually, I love each and every one of you. And sure enough, that's what she did. You know, I told her, I said, look, we theme. It's gonna be the cowboy theme. I said, you gotta get your cowboy boots, get your jeans, get your cowboy hat, whatever, however you want to do it. I said, you come on in with us. She said, I am ready. You understand me? She never ever said, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if I have any boots. You know how people, you know, you start coming up with all these
Right.
excuses. I didn't get any
not
of
her.
that. She said, I'm in. And you know, Rory, you did the same thing. Literally, when I said, hey, Rory, You got to come. I just need to see you. I need to be around you. I need to get to know you. You never hesitated. You was like, okay. You said to me, you said, when it's time for me to come, I'm going to be ready. And I think what's unique about all of you, that's what you did. You came and you showed up and you showed out in a way to say, hey, I deserve, I'm ready. I deserve my opportunity. And I just want a shot. And here's where, for our viewers, referees, and that's why I wanted them to hear a little bit about your stories, about who you are, how you got here, you know, because for a lot of referees, people think that this just magically happens, and it doesn't. It
No.
doesn't. Like, Gary, this man is a dual sport professional. On football, he's a white hat, and I have had the pleasure. I never forget. Was it the Pac-12? No, I actually gone to 2 games. It was the Pac-12 championship. The last year we
Yep.
had the Pac-12. Gary
Yep.
invited Chancey and I, and when I tell you I was like a kid in a candy store, you would have thought I'm about to go out on that field. About to work because I was so excited for you because
Mm-hmm.
watching you, that's why having it wasn't any it's easy for me to hire you for basketball because watching him out there being the white hat in one of the biggest games. Now mind you, this was the last
Last one.
Pac-12 game. It was very emotional. My boss was there, Teresa, I never forget. And Teresa says, oh my God, Violet, she says, I just feel like I want to cry. And I told her, me too. But I more so wanted to cry because I was so excited to watch Gary. And I couldn't even tell her that, but I
Yeah,
did tell her
I
that
was a
you
side
invited me
judge.
though. I did.
I was a side judge in that game. Yep.
Yeah. And literally just to watch you, be one of the best. See, and it wasn't even basketball, it was football. But one thing I learned with watching you, I saw a professional. I saw a guy, and I know how hard you've worked in basketball because see you've been to basics quite a few times and I know how you run your own camp and I know everything you've done, but to watch you out there being the white hat was just a prideful moment for myself because I knew right then and there, Gary, that you were going to be on my staff and you wasn't even doing a basketball game because it's not about that. It's about,
Right.
like you guys all said, it's about getting to know you. It's funny, Rory, when I say I needed for you to come because I needed to get to know you because that's really, really important for all of us to get to know each other because the more we get to know each other, the more comfortable we become with each other because when you go in the trenches and you look down
Yeah.
when you're at that trail and looking down at that lead, you go, okay, Erica, we about to go to war. Okay,
Yeah.
Dominique, we about to get this done. And it matters
Yeah.
when you have been around that person. It matters that you've seen or you've had these experiences, whether the experience was team
Challenges.
building,
Yeah.
whether it was the experience was on the court, whether the experience was at the resume session. It doesn't matter what it is
Mm-hmm.
because it's togetherness. It's getting an opportunity to learn your fellow officials, who's on staff, allow them to get to know you. And for all of you, you've had those experiences. Now, here's what's funny, you guys, and you guys may not know this. Now, Erica's had a really unique experience with that because I think it was 2 years ago. Did I have it right, Erica? See, again, my photographic memory. It was either 2 or 3 where there was a bad storm in Texas. And you
Boss,
guys
that was
already,
last year. Boss, that was last December.
it was last year? Okay, it was, see, again,
This was last December.
it was this last year? Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
And when it starts snowing in Texas, everything shut down. Everything
Right.
stops
Right.
because they're not used to it, right? 2 of my referees couldn't make it. So I called my Houston people, a couple of referees. I'm really, really close. Tony Stigliano um, was one of my supervisors when he had the Southwest Conference. I used to work for him. So, and Tony and I are still to this day really, really good friends. So
Nice.
I talked to a couple of our fellow referees that live in Houston, and they said, hey, you know what? Erica's available. Now, mind you, your fellow people took care of you, Erica. I said, what? I said, okay. I called Tony Stigliano. I said, hey, Tony, I need a referee in Houston. I need somebody that can drive and get to this game because the team's done made it, and I got to get this game covered. I called my commissioner, Drew. I said, hey, Drew, I think I got a couple of referees that's available. They're Division Ones. They're not on staff, but we got to cover this game. And I ain't got nobody else that's in town. So you know what he told me? He said, if you feel like they're capable of working, put them on there. We'll get them paid. I was like, woo! I called Erica. I said, hey, boo, Stigliano, just want you to know, gave you high praise. Was like, you found a good one. She would do it just extremely well. You could have her. And I don't even know if you were working for him that day. You might have. And I think he might have said you could have her. You got her, V. You know, because he's another one about opportunity, because we're all about giving our referees their opportunity, and you never know. And see, this is what our viewers need to hear, because no different than your situation, Dominique. Rory's was a little different. Erica got an assignment to work a conference game and wasn't even on my staff. She nailed it. See what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
knew then. See, Erica, you didn't know it. Of course, I'm not going to tell you because it really didn't matter. She went out. How about this?
Yeah.
Their coach's evaluation, outstanding. The coach said the new girl was damn near better than the people that was working. I couldn't even tell you that. I went, wow, what a nice, no, but it was so nice.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. I have the best experiences with situations. And one thing I've learned, I don't take things for granted with any of you. However I can pull you in, I'll go for it. So I knew right then and there that I was going to hire you for this year. You just didn't know. So obviously, and I think I said to Chancey, I said, I was going through going through the resumes, we're talking back and forth and who's coming for this, for this, this basics. And Erica, you wasn't on there. And I said, something happened. But see, again, I never ever said, oh, I'm not going to hire her because she didn't come. She had already earned her stripes. I already knew that she was in, right? I just hadn't told her yet. So sure enough, after camp is over, I give her a call and I said, hey, boo, how you doing? She said, hey, Vin, just fun conversation. And I said, I was surprised I didn't see you this summer. She said, well, I had an injury and it was hard for me to make the decision. She says, boss, because I knew that I wanted to be there, but I felt like I wouldn't be able to referee this season if I didn't take this time off and, get this injury taken care of. And that's the only reason why I wasn't there. I said, well, are you healthy now? She said, 100%. I said, well, then welcome to VP 12. And I think we just had, seriously, we had dead. Erica, she just went like dark on me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One of the best conversations. And I told her, I
That's
said,
awesome.
girl, you had already earned it. I said, you didn't have to come. I said, obviously, of course I wanted you to come. I mean, because again, I love camp. You guys know that. I do. I love being around my referees. I love camp. I love the experience. I love the team building. I love us. After we get done, we all at the bar telling stories and, having fun. We play spades. We play domino. We have togetherness because one thing I've learned about our business is that outside of us, and I see right now, I go outside of this little square that I have with you guys, nobody else cares about us but us.
Nobody.
So
That's it.
if
We all we
nothing
got.
else that I can teach you togetherness. I can teach you, I'm always about, we have to be about our brother and our sister's keeper. We are those people. We have to make sure that we're okay. Because when you're in the trenches, that person looking down that chute when you're in that trail, looking down at the lead or looking at the center on the weak side, you know that person got your back. If anything happens, two people on that court gonna take care of you. And if you learn nothing else from me, is that is so important in who we are and what we do. And that's something that I have learned from each and every one of you. Because what was great and why I wanted, the viewers to just meet you and get to know you, because you're unique in how you got here. You're unique how you went through basic ref school. You're unique in how you got to VP 12. It's unique how you get to Division 1. All of it. But officials, they don't know. They don't know. So my last question for each of you, and just in a brief words, tell me, and I know all of you have mentors. What did your mentors give you that to this day has worked, that that has helped you develop in who you are right now? Because we all have our, and I'll give you an example. My mentor, I'll start it off because I'm here with you guys. I got in the MBA program, and don't get me wrong, I had my high school mentors. That Bobby Mosey, still with me to this day. That was my high school, one of my high school mentors. The late great Booker Turner, another one of my big high school mentors, So I know I had mine in high school early, but as you go through your career, it changes. And when I got to the NBA, I ended up working with this hard, tall, good-looking, condescending, hard-nosed referee named Benny Adams.
Benny Adams.
Can you believe this? My
Right.
first NBA summer training game was with Benny Adams and Leroy Richardson. First ever
Wow.
Pro-Am game that I've ever worked in my career. And I was so impressed by this man, how he carried himself, how smart he was, how he was tough. He was hard on me. He made me think. He never gave me the answer to nothing. He, like he do us in class. He ain't gonna give you no answer. He gonna make it as complicated as possible for you. But it's all in making you grow, making you think, making you want to be better. So for me, that was my first mentor. And what he showed me was I had to become a student of the game. I had to study. And he even said to me, he said, you know what? We know you could work. We know you could referee. That's what he said. This is funny. I didn't know him. He knew me. He said, I know exactly. We heard everything about you. We know how good you are. You done been working Final Fours, championship games, and now you in our NBA program. He said, but how about this? Him and Leroy both said this. First game. Now, mind you, I kind of knew the NBA, Dominique. I kind of knew the mechanics a little bit, but not really, because I wasn't trying to be a pro referee. I was a collegiate referee. And what this man said to me was, he said, how about this? First game. He said, just remember, this was back in the day, and see, Dominique, you didn't experience this one. This is back in the day when you blew a whistle in the NBA, you always went to the slot or the center position. Automatic.
Okay.
So he said, all we know is you don't have to worry about the rotations. You just move where you need to move. He says, if you have a foul, just remember, go back to the slot, or for us collegiate referees, the center position. I was like, that's all I got to do? They said, yep, we want you to just referee. Don't worry about us. We'll cover everything. Don't you worry about nothing. You just get your third. I was like, well, that's
Say
easy.
less.
It's like,
I went out, worked my game, and can I tell you guys, for my mentor, this man has not left my side from the summer of 1995. He has never left me and said, we're sisters and brothers. We're sisters and brothers for real, but we're sisters and brothers in officiating. And I will always, anything that you're a part of, I will be supportive and I will help you. So for me, that's how I ran across my mentor. So in brief, again, you guys, me, I'm long-winded. Sorry. Give me a brief, and I'm sure you guys have more than one. but you can combine it however you want, because I kind of
Mhm.
combined mine a little bit too, because I went a little high school mentor, I didn't even really get into my collegiate mentor because then we'll really be here a long time. But then I kind of went to my mentor that I end up having when I made it to the professional level. Give me something that your mentor, each one of you, that has kind of passed along, that has stayed with you, that has helped you make it to this point in your career. Gary, you could start if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay,
For
Gary,
me,
go
it's
for
just
it.
for me, it was just it's Anthony Robinson and a little bit of Nipsey Hussle, right? Because Nipsey's
Mm,
always big about if you're gonna go for something, go for it,
yeah,
full throttle.
I like
And
that.
yeah, shout out to Nip. But Anthony's always been about taking the stairs,
Mm,
and your process is your process.
those are
So
her
if
words.
anybody really, yeah, no doubt. If anybody knows me, you know that I never introduced myself as a football guy. I wanted my body of work in the basketball world to speak for itself. And it took the time that it took, and it was meant to be.
I love it.
That's
I
what I
love it.
that's what I'll say about my mentors.
Beautiful. All right, Dara, give it to us. What you got?
My mentor, the great Eric Lewis,
Woo.
I acquired him 19. First, it was Tony.
Okay.
And Tony, that
Wait,
was
okay,
tough.
it's two Tonys. We're
Tony was
talking about
great, though.
the late
He
great
gonna be
Tony
honest with you.
Brown or the Tony brothers?
Tony brothers. Brothers.
Brothers. Okay.
Tony gonna, Tony gonna be honest with you. That's a special person.
He gonna be honest with you about everything.
Everything. But Eric, the thing that I love about Eric being my mentor, yes, I have other ones like
Mm-hmm.
Felicia Grinter,
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Bell.
Good one.
I have some phenomenal people around me, but Eric is, a go-to. And what Eric did, he caught me at a time where um I was just really kind of like rough around the edges, just real rough. He always calls me a drill
You
sergeant.
know what?
He's
He
like, when you're on
he
the court,
was too. How about that? That's why y'all
right.
probably got along.
Real rough. And the one thing that I appreciated about Eric, it was always a perspective and a philosophy. It was never telling me what to do and you got to do this, you got to do that. He was like, let me just give you a perspective.
Okay.
And he helped me just grow to be a better person and be more aware of like my words, more aware
Love
of
it.
my actions, more aware of who I am as a person off the floor.
Yes.
Because he's always saying that refereeing and life, they mirror each other. And he was like, so what you do off the floor, you need to work on who you are as a person. First, define yourself, be authentic. You know, then when you get on the floor, it's going to transition over. People are going to want to work with you. People are going to love being around you. He was like, you're a bubbly person, but you have a tendency to shift when you get on the floor. You're just like a drill sergeant. He was like, no, bring that over here. So he helped me just to grow as a human being, as a person. He valued who I was. He wanted to make sure that things were in alignment because then it's going to be in alignment on the floor. Yes, like breaking down game film, that's a must. So you're mandatory. You have 24 hours, break it down, send clips, with his mentor group that he mentors.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot about being a good person and making sure that you're being a good person to others. So you're putting the game first, you're putting your partners, and then it's yourself very, very last.
Right.
But how are you servicing the game? Are you being fair? When it comes to your partners, are you being respectful? How are you talking to them? How are you handling things? If you're the crew chief, if you're the U2, you still have a third, you still have a part in the game. So it was just more the teaching aspect of growing me as a person and maturing me as a person. That's what I value as a mentor, because your mentor is supposed to make sure, are you being a good person? It's more than just basketball. It's, are you being a good person? Because if you're not being a good person, we can't talk about basketball because nobody's going to want to be with you. Nobody's going to want to work with you and nobody's going to want to hire
Girl,
you.
you preaching. There you go. How about this?
So,
You know what? He did real good because
yeah.
literally, it's funny. You could tell that him and I came from the same cloth. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? That's what happens though, because everything that you said is so true. Because the refereeing part, the whistle and the shirt, that's easy. That's what that's easy to do. But you want people to like you. It's important that, because then people want to be around you. People want to share with you. People want to give you what you need. If you're not a good person, people just put you over there, and that's not good.
Yep.
And you hit
Right.
that on the head, and that was so just powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Roy, what you got for me? Give me a
That
mentor.
that
Give me a mentor.
yeah, that was very well said. Just like all of you guys, I have a ton of mentors that have helped me kind of at every level of my
Mhm.
development. And it's kinda dawned on me for a long time what all of them at every level were saying, and it kinda goes back to what Dara was saying too, is like, you have to be yourself.
Mhm.
Right? You They all love me off the court, but I was someone different on the court, and they were like, "Just, just stop, just be yourself." That goes to camp as well, when you show up to camp, you gotta be yourself, and I see a lot of people are like, "I am a robot, I'm trying to get hired," and it's like and I'm
No.
talking about myself, and it finally when it clicks, it's like, "Oh, man, hell with all that. Just be yourself, go
Mhm.
ref and be you," and I think I'm a slow learner, but at every level, my mentors were all saying something to that effect, like,
Good.
"Stop being what you think a ref is and just be the ref that you actually are," right?
Mhm.
And then Gary Reed, and I will be fair, she is not a mentor, but to Infinity Robinson, she said something at your camp, VP, I will never forget for the rest of my life, and when I'm clinicianing at camps here
Mhm.
locally, I always tell people the same thing is Anthony said, "You guys are all here to get hired, but have you even mastered the level that you're at?"
Wow.
You wanna
Man, look
be
at all of us like, "Oh, yes, nugget."
Infinity always got nuggets.
She does. She got
and
nuggets.
I'm telling you what, I thought she was like
Like just talking to
there's
you.
100 people, and I was like, "Oh, she's talking to me," and I just kept sinking in my chair like this. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not ready to get hired. What the hell did I even come here for?" But it's so true because the truth is I wasn't ready. I had
Right.
not mastered the level that I was at. I was
Right.
not a good R in the league that I was in. I didn't know the rules, and so it was like that reality check.
Mm.
VP is not going to hire if you're not ready, and all of a sudden it's like, okay. Thank you for the the check there, and now I'm gonna, like,
Mhm.
build myself back up into, like, what Gary
Beautiful.
said, sh or steps or stairs, right? You've gotta master the level that you're on, and I pass that on every year that with younger people or, newer refs, and every time I see Infinity, I'm like, "I'm still using it." She's like, "Alright."
Wow.
Yep.
Man, you know what? You guys are, y'all really trying to get me today. This is good. This is, this is a beautiful, this is, y'all got me, y'all got me, y'all got me. All right, Dominique, Eric, I'm gonna let you bring us on home, but Dominique, share one of your mentor stories.
So now the number one thing is doing the work. You gotta do the work. Like Vi says, like the play is the play. That's their
Mhm.
number one thing. You got to do the work. Do the work.
Amen.
Um,
Amen.
and then the other one is it's nuts because I guess like Vi said they're all cut from the same cloth because it's very similar. Danny Crawford, my mentor, he said, "You can't be Danny. You got to be Dominique. You can't be Danny."
Mhm.
Wait a minute. You know what's so
Mhm.
funny, Dominique? When you said that to me, remember when I said to you, I said, Dominique, I said, you can't be Violet. I said, there's
Yes.
only one me. No, and it's funny because Danny obviously was one of my mentors in the league as well. So it's funny how you hear these same things. It's like we're little mini me's and we don't even
Yeah.
try to
I mean,
be.
that's so
And that is so true, Dominic. That is a powerful statement. Powerful.
So yeah, that's that. Yep, that's what Danny said, and also ball with them. That's one that always sticks with me. Like he said, ball with them. Just Danny played, and so I don't know. It's something about that. Like it just clicked for me.
Hmm.
As referees, we really do.
Yep.
D. Rich says this, and I know you know this by. He says you have police officers and you have social workers, and he said a police officer cannot be a social worker, and a social worker cannot be a
The
police
police officer.
officer. So again, back to being yourself. He's like, Dominic, you're a social worker. You can't you can't be this social worker, this person that you are. You have to be the same you on the court
Mhm.
that you are off the court.
Wow.
Police officer. So you can't go on the court and then become a police officer.
Right. Wow, great stories. I love it. Well, you guys, haven't you noticed though the common theme that from each one of you, you guys gave a nugget in which Erica, you're not off the hook yet, but you guys all gave a nugget. But did you notice how they all just come together? It's like
Yes.
it still comes back to right here. It's funny, and it could be said a different
Yep.
way. It could be, you know, and
Spun.
it depends, because that's the unique thing is about us, because we're all different. But I can, from watching all of you, I know for a fact that you've had positive mentors in your career, because you wouldn't be where you are without them. See, I wouldn't be here. I would not be sitting here where I am without the men and women who supported me, that gave me those nuggets, that kept me on track. You just can't do it. So it's just, this is so unique to hearing it from all of you, in which viewers need to hear that, and which is beautiful. So, okay, Miss EW, what you got?
No, just like you said, like from the moment that I decided to get into this profession, there have just been a lot of people that have poured into me and have placed their hands on me and have led me and have guided me. So if you're watching, thank you so much. Wouldn't be here without you. I'm not going to name drop, but one of my mentors, one thing that she said was control what you can control and be the type of official. So don't make it your goal to officiate the state championship or the Final Four. Don't make that your goal. Be the type of official that officiates Final Fours. Be the type of official that can handle a state championship game. Be the type of official
Wow.
that
Powerful.
can do those things. And
Good.
so then she went on to say, so take care of your body. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. Be a student of the game. Don't worry about whether or not you're getting the big assignment.
Right.
Just be ready when you get the big assignment.
Right.
Touch.
And Dominique kind of said it. I feel like when you come into officiating, everybody wants you to throw away your history. But for a second,
No.
I have to tell you where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I am a person that was in love with basketball at 3 years old. I was the little kid that had their ball. I was the kid playing in the state championship game.
Me
I was
too.
the young lady playing in the Final Four. I was the young lady playing in the WNBA. So to go back to what Rory said, I mean, if you're coming into this thing and you just want to get hired, you better come into this thing to master what your role is
Mm-hmm.
and show up and be excellent, because these players and these coaches, they're watching film. These
Right.
players are taking care of their bodies. They're working out.
You better
Right.
preach, girl.
Everybody, just because I've been a college coach, so I've had to watch 10 games prior to our game.
Right.
So
Right.
yes, I'm jumping up and I'm excited, or calling out the player, whatever the case may be. So just keep in perspective our role and just come in and just serve it and be excellent, man. Because everybody else here is very serious about this thing, and so you better be too.
Amen.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, that's
man,
beautiful,
you guys,
Erica.
you know what? Y'all fire,
That's beautiful.
man. Y'all. You know what? Would y'all believe we've been almost on here an hour and 15 minutes? That's how good y'all are.
It
But
don't feel like it.
here's how we're gonna close this out. And I want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. I love who you are, and the sky is the limit. And one thing that with all of you coming in and being my new hires, and now really that's kind of over, because now you're just on staff. So, we kind of saying that as a, just so for the public could know that, yeah, this is your first go round with me, but not really, but you know what I mean. Sitting here having this conversation with you guys and this little chalk talk is actually it's made me really understand and really know in my gut that VP12 gonna be all right. Because
Amen.
if I can continue to hire young, enthusiastic, hardworking, want to study, want to train referees like you, who's right here on my screen, we gonna be real good. And
Yeah.
this is beautiful, because I can tell you, the veterans on my staff, they know y'all coming, and they are more than happy to have you come. They're like, oh my God, because I'm already
Game
getting,
on.
I'm getting those phone calls. And they're like, oh my God, I work with so and so. She good. Ooh, put me with her again. Put me with him. He's like a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that lets me know that VP12 is in good hands, because I'm telling each and every one of you, the sky is the limit. continue to train, continue to develop, continue to study. And I don't even have to worry. See, this is the other thing for me. When I bring you in, I don't babysit. I don't got time to babysit. I don't. If you guys notice, I don't bother you because I know that each one of you are professional. I know that each one of you study. I know that each one of you care about this game. You care about our staff. You care about yourselves. You care about your families, all of it, because it all matters. And sitting here for this last hour and 15 minutes, you have truly showed me that VP12 is in good hands. And I am so happy to have each and every one of you a part of my staff. I want to thank you so much because you gave me time and you don't have to. And I appreciate it. You gave me your heartfelt thoughts and you didn't have to. And I appreciate that as well. And I think this is so beautiful. I think it's authentic. And I think it's what young officials need to hear because we're sharing a part of us with the world in a good way. You have no idea how much you guys are going to help some young referee that's trying to get here. They can listen to these stories and go, "Oh, wow, I got a lot of work to do. I got to do this. I need to do this." But it's not bad. These are all
Right.
good nuggets. And I just want to say I thank you. I am so happy to have you on my staff. I'm happy to see each and every one of you grow and develop. And it is my pleasure to give you this opportunity. But I just really, really want to say you didn't have to come on this platform. But each and every one of you were because you didn't know what I was gonna. You had no idea. And to be as candid and open and honest, it just tells a lot about yourselves. It tells me who you are, which I already kind of knew that. But you really, really showed the world. And I just want you to know I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But I look forward to seeing each and every one of you grow and develop. And the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. So I want to say thank you so much for this beautiful Keeping It Real segment. To my panelists here, my new hires, and which you guys really, you're not even new no more. That's kind of like we can throw that out now. But you guys were amazing. And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I look forward to watching you guys in the next week or two. Because again, we got games going tonight. So ain't nothing changed. But again, thank you for a beautiful episode. It's so greatly, greatly appreciated. And remember, the play is the play. And we out. Peace out, everybody.